So Erin, are you a student here?
Yep, I'm going to be a sophomore in the fall.
Okay, so you can finish your first year.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Are you from the area?
Yep, I'm from Cambridge. It's a small town, like 20 minutes from here.
Right. Okay. So on the topic of evolution, creation, do you fall on one side or the other?
I definitely am for evolution.
Okay.
I completely believe in it, and I don't know how anyone can be against it, honestly. So.
All right. Well, maybe we'll both have something to learn today.
Okay.
All right. Now, are you into science? Is science part of
I actually
your major?
took an evolution class last fall. So.
Okay.
But yeah, I was kind of swinging towards a bio major, but I'm not sure about that anymore. So.
All right. Now, did you have any religious background growing up?
No.
None at all. Okay.
Well, my mom was raised Catholic, but she never really imposed anything on.
I understand.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
All right. Now, I like to define terms.
Okay.
So first is let's talk about science or the
Okay.
scientific method.
Mm-hmm.
Can you give kind of just a general explanation of the scientific method?
Hypothesis, and then your theory, and like you have to have an experiment to prove it, and then the results of that experiment.
You're either confirming or denying.
Yes.
Yes, through experimentation.
Yep.
And it's through observations, the kind of observable sort of
Yeah.
evidence, right? Okay. And then in regard to evolution, do you remember how Charles Darwin defined evolution?
I don't remember exactly. It's like I can't even bring it to mind, honestly.
Well, he said a lot of things. So,
Yeah.
I can understand how it would be difficult, but
It's a long book.
common descent with modification. Does that ring a bell for you?
I feel like it was a bit more specific than that, but
Well, descent with modification. Do you
Okay.
understand the concept of descent with modification?
yeah.
Okay. Want to explain it then? Or do you want me to?
Descent with modification, like as like each generation is becoming and like it's adding on to each generation, I guess. Like things are adding on to each generation.
Yeah, sort of like that. The way I explain it is that it's the idea that evolution is this idea that the life began in a primordial form and then it advanced, became more complex, and you have
Yeah.
various organisms becoming more complex until you get to amphibians and other kinds of more complex animals,
Yep.
all the way up to humans.
Yeah.
And so there's a common ancestors going all the way back down. And so it's that idea. So to me then, if we really understand science using scientific method, and understand evolution as in common descent, what do you consider to be some of the evidences then for evolution?
Well, humans specifically, I guess, like have like bone structures, and I can't remember, like vestigial parts, I think they're called, and
Vestigial organs?
yep, organs too, and like the tailbone and stuff that like creatures like our ancestors, I guess, had, but like we've modified them to like our bodies now.
Okay.
But-
Well, it's interesting that you bring that up. No one that I can think of has brought that one up recently. But all of the vestigial organs we have now found to have purpose, that the so-called tailbone is tied in with all kinds of muscles back there. You probably wouldn't be able to do a bowel movement without it. They all have, whatever it is, they all have purpose. And so some of them go all the way back from birth, things of that nature. And then what I'm really looking for is the kind of evidence that is repeatable, that is not just simply interpreted, but that can be shown over and over again to confirm evolution by common descent. Anything else you can think of?
I mean, like, I feel like animals more, like the horses have like toes and stuff, and
So there's like three-toed horses. I know that evolutionists have used horses for a long time as evidence for evolution. But did you know that the horses, when they find these artifacts, these bones, that they're actually not in layers that historically give rise to evolution? In other words, a three-toed horse may be found in a layer that is much higher than another horse that is actually more recent. It's really been refuted. It's not as strong of evidence in favor of evolution as you thought. And again, because it's the fossil record, it still has to be interpreted. It's not the sort of thing that you can just simply, like scientists do in biology or chemistry or botany, or where you can have experiments and have a hypothesis and prove over and over again that your hypothesis is correct. So many of these things that you're beginning to talk about are based on the assumption that evolution is true. So one of the things that I'll talk to people about, I'm a little bit off topic here, but just having to do with design. I see design all over the place, whether it's a microphone, cameras, clothing, shoes, even the bricks, the buildings, the cars, cell phones. Design is everywhere. It's hard to not find design, especially in the city. But when it comes to biological things, which are far more complex than anything humans have ever devised, in the university science classroom, the cause, what they assume to be the cause for biological things is what?
What do you mean, the cause?
It's assumed to be a natural cause, rather than a design cause. We know that design exists, but it's not even considered as an option.
But I don't think, like, the design that it seems that you're pushing for is like someone had a greater plan, and I
am pushing toward that, yes.
Yep, that's
absolutely.
the vibe I got. But I mean, there's design, but I don't think it's like as was planned.
Nailed down as that I think it is. Okay, well, I do have some articles that I want to leave with you, one of which is 5 evidences in favor of creation. So these are evidences that are repeatable and observable every single day. For example, the first one, information. There's an information scientist named Dr. Werner Gett, and he helps us understand that information, wherever we see it, is in 5 levels. So there's statistics and syntax, semantics, action or kind of a application, and then purpose. And what I find to be so very cool is that all 5 of these levels are not only are they seen everywhere, wherever you find information, such as like a newspaper, our communication now, TV, wherever, might be a book, might be, anyway, a sign, it doesn't matter. But it's also in DNA. So the information in DNA is like the most complex form of information known to humanity. It's far more complex than anything we have done in terms of information. Bill Gates is, one of his famous quotes is that the information in DNA is like a computer program, he said, only far more complex than anything humans have ever devised. It's extremely complex, and we're learning more and more how complex it is. I'm sure you've heard of, say, junk DNA. So 30 years ago, they considered the human genome, 98.5% of the human genome, to be junk DNA. And then just recently with the ENCODE project, they've overthrown that to come to realize that no, the vast majority of it, if not all of it, is actually functional. Go ahead, you were going to say something?
Never mind, keep going. I lost my train of thought.
Okay. So anyway, so there's these 5 levels. Let me talk about level number 2, which is syntax. Syntax is the idea of rules. And so in DNA, there's codons. Codons are made up of 3 nucleic acids. It's never 2, it's never 1, it's never 7, it's never 5, it's always 3. Now how could evolution, which has, or natural causes, no mind, no intelligence, how could it know when it got the right number? How could it devise the right number? How could it understand the right number? It knows nothing. It has no mind, no intelligence. The only thing it has in its favor is survivability in its particular environment. Luck, in this case.
All it is.
Okay, so another scientist, Stephen Meyer, Dr. Stephen Meyer, he wrote a book called Signature in the Cell. One of the things he brings out in this book is this concept of inference to the best explanation. Have you ever heard of that concept? So, do you know what inferences are? So we infer, we look at data, we have this set of data, and then we make judgments from that data. Well, this seems to fit over here, or this, this data leads me to believe, like medicine. Medicine does that all the time. This particular medicine helps with this particular problem and helps to solve it. And so we infer, we make inferences. People, we do it all the time. We make judgments based on, well, this is a better deal, buying something than something else. So we're making judgment, we are inferring. And the question is, inference to the best, what is the best explanation?
Okay.
Well, let's go back to DNA. So you look at these 5 levels, just level number 2 is that of syntax. Another example of syntax, by the way, is that genes begin and end. They have beginning and ending codons.
Yep.
Similar to the English language, we have capital letter and a period to mark off our sentences. Again, how would evolution, natural causes, have the capability or the mind, it has no mind, have the wherewithal to put a beginning and ending codons on there? And we're only just beginning to scratch the surface in terms of the complexity of what is going on in DNA. Have you heard of duons? You ever heard of duons? So you've heard of codons.
Yep.
Codons are the markers for the genes. But duons are somewhat recent, I guess.
We didn't talk about that in my bio class this semester.
You say you will be?
We didn't talk about that.
Oh, you didn't talk about it. Well, you could always look it up. Just Google it, duon.
Okay.
So it's the idea that what they've come to realize is that genes have more than one function. They're not only functional, but they're multiple functionals. And they can be read forward and backwards. And so this goes to the level of semantics, is that in DNA there is semantics. And so semantics is the idea of understanding. And so not only do you have to have the right coding, but there has to be there's an understanding that's going on. And so this can be seen with duons, is that there's multiple messages. One message in a particular gene might mean to build a particular protein, while that same gene is used to activate something else in the cell. It's phenomenal. It's mind-blowing as to the complexity of what's going on in the cell. So that then leads me to the issue of inference to the best explanation. So when you have 2 different possibilities, one possibility is the information in DNA came as a result of natural causes. The other possibility is it came as a result of design. To me, and again, I have more information in here. To me, the inference of the data infers design. It's just shouts design in a big megaphone. It's design. Okay. Now I know I'm just giving you this stuff, just kind of all of a sudden here. He's probably going to take some time to think about it. Do you have a reaction? Anything you want to say?
I'm really not for creationism at all. Like, you're just kind of spewing nonsense at me. That's like...
I'm doing what?
Spewing nonsense at me. Like...
Nonsense?
Kinda. I mean, I just don't know. Like, that doesn't scream design to me at all. I think there's so much that backs up evolution, and...
Such as?
Well, I can't name everything off the top of my head now, but...
what is it that really convinces you that evolution is true?
What we look like in comparison to apes especially, like, where do you think we came from? Like, do you think that, like, humans just appeared?
Yes, I believe that that guy created us. about 6,000 years ago. Yeah, I do. And so one of the things you're alluding to now is what evolutionists have referred to as the 1 or 2% difference between humans and chimps. Are you aware of that?
Yep.
Okay. Are you also aware that has been debunked, that has been thrown out, that evolutionists themselves no longer make that claim? See, it's one of these things that's been put in the textbooks, sold to people for decades, and now in the last few years, maybe the last 10 years, they're coming to realize that this so-called difference between humans and chimps is not so close after all. Some are claiming that, well, maybe there's a 5% difference, others 12%, others like 30%. And so I had an interview with a geneticist last year, and we went to there's a website, I'll put it up, but anyway, there's a website where you actually see the genome, the human genome, and where it matches up with the chimpanzee genome, as well as other primate genomes. And you can see that when they tried to get this 1 or 2% difference, do you know how they did it? They took the pieces from the various chimpanzee chromosomes to match up with the human chromosome number 1. And you can see this with the color coding. So with chimpanzees, there's 24 chromosomes, pairs. With humans, there's 23. So with each chromosome matching, they basically did a puzzle piece. They cherry picked. They picked from a particular chromosome to match up with human chromosome number 1, and just did this over and over again. And then there's huge gaps. There's no way that there could be 2 or 1% difference, just from the gaps alone, the gaps where there's no matching at all. To me, it's just like, this is just not honest science when I was really looking at it for myself, looking at the data. So had you seen that? Have you seen any of this sort of evidence? Okay. But anyway,
I don't really have anything else to add. So.
Okay. Well, I appreciate your time. Can I go ahead and leave you with these items?
No, thanks. That's okay.
All right.
Have a good day.
Thanks.